Okay, welcome to class training for enthusiasts. Today we are going to start with S3 buckets, how to create S3 bucket, how to put an object into S3 bucket and share the object. So, but today's class is going to be led by one of our students, Olaiton Fagbamila in Canada. So we hope that the class comes handy. Thank you. So, Mr. Olaiton, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me start by clicking on the S3. I've already have it in my dashboard.
Okay.
Okay. The next step is to create the bucket. Then name the bucket. So let me name it as a show1. And I've already selected the region that's very close to me. Then choose the bucket. No.
But I think Canada is closer to you than that.
Do we
OEU.
have anything in Canada?
Yes,
Oh,
we have
we have
yes,
Canada Central
Central.
East.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then I need to make the buckets either public or private. So I will select the enabling for the bucket fashioning. Then server side inscription enable. Okay.
Why did you
The next,
enable server-side inscription?
so do we need to enable or disable? Okay, let me disable it.
Yes, because I feel if you enable server-side encryption,
Okay.
people that are going to receive it through a server must have that encryption code to be able to
Okay.
access it.
To access the
File, the
file that I
bucket.
share with them.
Yes. So it's basically for confidential file sharing. For now, I think what you are planning to do is a public bucket, something that you can share for everybody because you are going to share with me to see. I think with that, you should enable public sharing. And since I don't have your encryption code, so no need to encrypt it.
Encrypt it. Okay. So the next is to click on the create the bucket.
But if you create these buckets, don't you think it's going to be private
Private.
bucket? Why not
So
make
I'm
it
thinking of
public?
this. Okay.
If you leave that as leave it, don't worry, make it public.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
look at the public the if you you know at default with least privilege, all buckets are in private. So
Private.
if you enable this block all public access listing, then you have other options to choose how you want people to access the bucket. Despite the bucket is
Okay.
still public, but you can still restrict the public access by using access control list, ACL. Understand
Okay.
me? So, but I don't want you to just make it public generally.
Okay. What about this session?
You have to acknowledge it that you know that it's going to be a public bucket because
Okay.
normally you are
Okay.
not supposed to allow it to be public if it's a confidential
Document.
document or file you are sharing.
Okay. It's okay.
Now you said your name already exists. You have to use another name.
But I created one yesterday, at that day, and I deleted it.
Okay.
Let me use double N.
Okay.
I mean triple N and 1.
S3 bucket is global, meaning if you create an S3 bucket, anywhere you are, you can access it.
Access
The
it.
global resources, not like some server. When you're talking about EC2, EC2 is region based. It's region based. If you
Okay.
create any EC2, it's going to be within that region, going to be available for that region. Understand me? So if you change the region, you will not see the EC2 listed in your resources unless
EC2.
you are in the region. But for S3 bucket, it's global. So
It's
meaning
global.
if you
Okay.
create it in Canada and you are accessing your file from another, maybe you click to another region, maybe in Africa region, you can still see it listed in your bucket. You can still access it. It's a region based.
Okay.
And that's why it's mostly used for all those caching of files. Maybe you want a file to be accessed globally, you can use CloudFront. S3 bucket can give you that because it's global, so
Okay.
it can be cached from every region. And it's also a serverless because you don't need to give it a server. You don't need to launch server for it
To launch server before we can
to run. Yes,
make use of it.
yes. Although the word serverless is very complex because sometimes, like there are some application, like they say Lambda now, some applications, some APIs like Lambda, like function as a service, FAS, like FortiGate, which is used for Kubernetes. They call it serverless, but at the back end, there's always server running, just that you are not in charge
Of that
of
server.
those servers, how the server is pinned, what many server is pinned up, how to manage the server, how to configure the networking of that server. It's not your own headache. Your own is just to configure the FortiGate. But for S3, immediately you create your stuff, you are not interested how those files gets to that location. You understand me? How they receive it. Your own is just to create it and you can use it. It's also serverless too, because you don't need to create server, don't need to launch server. Continue, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one is to
Now,
the upload file
okay, beautiful.
into the
S3
folder
bucket. Okay. Yep.
STD one, which is
Okay.
shown triple N1.
Okay. Okay. So you want to create a folder inside your bucket, Abi?
Yes.
Okay. The concept of bucket is like you can have a department and you can call that department engineering department. You understand? And you can create an IAM because why you're able to access S3 bucket now is because your IAM, your identity access management profile and policy enable you, how you getting me, to use the bucket. You can also restrict access to this bucket or creation of a bucket and deletion of bucket from the access control, from the access and identity management by not giving those, by only allocating the right to the people or to the staff or to the account that you want to make use of that account, that IAM, that S3 bucket. That's number one. Because I want you to understand that not every account has the right to use S3 bucket. Are you getting me? It's not like it's a default. But this your account, you are using an admin right. So as an admin,
Yes.
you can make use of S3 bucket. You can also restrict, even after creating the bucket, you can also restrict the user or access to this bucket from the console or using a CLI. And you can also restrict, even after you've created the bucket, you have also sent the URL to the people that want to use it. Are you getting me? You can also give them you can also restrict that URL. You understand me? So no worry, we'll get there. Just continue. I just want you to understand this basics.
Oh, so I need to create another bucket now because there's no way I can choose to to upload the file?
You have to click the bucket you've created. You understand me? Then you either create a folder. In the best practice, you're not supposed to be loading file like that. For example, if this Shehu you created now is for Department of Engineering, are you with me? Every person in that department should have a folder.
Okay.
You understand? You name the folder after that person.
Okay. Let me create the folder now.
Yes, you create a folder.
Okay, let me name this folder practice.
I think you can also see, even with this practice, you still have the capacity to enable server-side encryption. You can see. So,
Disable.
you understand me now?
Okay.
You apart from you see S3 bucket, you know when you were enabling versioning, versioning.
Yes.
When you were creating versioning, you can decide to create a department called program development department, dev department, or DevOps department, and you put your source code that has been already been tested. You understand me? You can put it here. You can create it here and put it here. So when you can also link it, you link from here to any file, depends on to your Git repository and everything, so that when they are finished committing, they push it, you understand, and you want to keep save
to this place.
This place. Whenever they are saving again on top of the file you have already created, because the files are identical. You know, when you are creating an HTML file, sometimes this index.html is the same index.html, but the content may be different.
Exactly.
So instead of it to overwrite the former content that was written on it, it will create another version of that same content name. That means it will not be version 1, the index.
So, if I may understand, we can link this S3 to the GitHub.
Yes.
And we can also link our local machine to the GitHub at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. So,
is
it possible for us to link the 3 together at the same time?
Well, when you create a GitHub account, when you create a GitHub account, you can access it remotely. You can also access it from your local machine. You can connect your local machine to it by logging into your local machine. You understand? So when you do that, you can push any file from your local machine to GitHub repository. Are you getting me? Yes. You can put it to repository. You can from your GitHub push it here, or you can copy what most people do is that they just copy it into their local machine. Then from their local machine, they can push it to S3. That's what many people do. Or sometimes some will just come here and create a bucket and upload the file. You understand me? Into S3, just the way you want to do now, locally. But you know, as a developer, you mostly use of CLI. You like to just walk through the coding environment, just push the bucket, just keep pushing. So when you are pushing, instead of it to overwrite the former file, it will now create another version. So when you want to access that file, you cannot define the version. Are you getting me? The difference between a Docker repository, ECRO, the Elastic Container Repository, and a GitHub and a S3 bucket is this, because we are going to talk about it. ECRO is already a tested application. The application is tested and is working. Are you getting me? Even at its working condition, as it's working, you are pushing that file that is already running into a repository to save. Are you getting me? That is the Docker. So you are very sure that whenever anybody wants to use that Docker container, it's going to run because you have already run it on your system. Because when you are running your system, it's a running Docker image that you push there.
Okay.
So it's already running. And in fact, as you have even pushed it, it's still running, but it's just that it's on stop state. You understand me? So when you move it from there to any server or any of your repository, it will still be running. Like this S3 bucket now is not a repository, it's like a normal storage. Are you getting me? So you can put your source file here, but if case you want to start using it, you have to start the application. You understand me? You have to build the application, code building. After code building, before you now start the application. So the possibility of it running is still not 100% sure that if the application will run with S3 bucket, is not sure. Are you getting me? But for a ECRO, it's already running. So if a programmer, maybe a developer, have finished developing an application and has put it in ECRO, it's telling you that it's sending you the link from ECRO to pull. You just know that the application is running. So in the operation does not have any, we don't have any excuse. You understand me? To say that maybe the developer did not do it well, that's why it's not running. It's already running. But for S3, one of the advantages of S3 is that the source code that made that Docker ECRO that is running, you can also push it in S3 bucket. Are you getting me? So so just like a backup, just like a storage, just like something to secure your system. You understand me? So those are the two differences. One of the major differences between ECRO, Elastic Container Registry, and S3. But all of them are storage parts. So continue.
Location.
Yes. Let us complete this. I hope the information is not too much.
It's not too much.
Okay, sir.
So now I can upload a file.
Yes.
Into the folder. So add the file. Let me upload one book that I'm using personally for the JIT.
Okay.
So now I have
so you did not create a folder again now, you just uploaded inside the file directly.
I don't need to create a folder again.
Okay.
So I have this folder parts on S3 N1. So I can now click on upload.
You know, even that upload, you can also restrict the permission, but there's no need. There's a place you can also. So you see the different level of security that S3 bucket has. You can restrict it.
You can restrict each file that you have in
yes.
you have in the S3.
Yes, you can restrict the bucket. You can restrict if maybe the department is a department that will be working with public. You restrict you enable public access to the bucket, but at the folder level you can still restrict it. At the file level you can restrict it. So you see. So you can either give a read write or create read write and the list permission to either of the file.
So let me close.
Then send me the URL.
I can generate the URL between the copy S3 URL and the
yes
URL.
Either way, if you say copy the URL of that file.
Copy S3 URL will copy the whole folder.
Right, yes, and everything. Yes.
And the copy URL will only copy the
Most times it's almost the same thing, but just copy the URL of the file.
okay.
Okay. Oh, you see, he said I don't have the right. Okay. Meaning you did not make it public. Go and make it public.
So how do I make the file public?
Click the file.
I go to info,
Not
information,
info, action.
action.
Click the file. Click it first. Yes. You see object action.
Object, yes.
Hold on. Okay, go to object action. Click. You see make public is there.
So there's something to check there. Oh, make public.
Because they know anything you make public is risky. So they just want to be sure. Copy the URL and put it in your page. Put it in a browser. You will know if it's public or not.
Okay.
Voila. Voila. You see that link you still send to me. If I also use it here, it will still open. So congrats. Yes.
Okay.
Can send that link to anybody now.
Let's see. Oh my God.
Before you can send a file from GitHub to S3 bucket, the person, the user must have access, because you are going to use, the only way you can do that is through CLI. The person must have, you must use a system, a laptop that have the right to make use of the S3 bucket, maybe using of you can log in through S3, then the same time, you understand me? So you log into Git, then after finish, you take the Git, you bring the Git to your system, and from your system you upload it to S3. That's what people do. Yeah, so from CLI, command line interface. So I think you are able to successfully do this. Now let's try. There's something I want you to do. I want to do something for you to know that all the work we are doing. Let me show you an example, a practical usage of S3 bucket. Is that okay? Can we do that?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, let me show you something. I'm going to share my screen now. Now, okay, this is the file you sent to me. It's here. Beautiful. You can see I can access it. That file can be accessed anywhere.
So it means that this link will no longer
be available. Yes, will no longer be available. They will go, if you look at the link, it's showing your name, Sheung .s3 Canada Central 1. Are you getting me? Amazon, AWS, and stuff. But you can encrypt all these things. This name is too long. You can encrypt it with a DNS. You understand me? You can encrypt. That's where you now use the server. You understand me? You send it to a server, then you use the server. You install it. You put an application. You just listen to what I'm saying now. So instead of you to send the link directly to somebody, you take this link and put it in a web app. For example, you have seen Netflix now. You see Netflix that we watch.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so what they do, they take this link, they create a thumbnail. You know, a thumbnail means display it in a thumbnail. They will not attach it. They will not create a file, a web app. Then that web app, they will not put this link under the thumbnail. Maybe we are saying action film, like say Welcome to America. That's the film, and this is the file. This is the video file.
Video file, yeah.
This video file is already in S3 bucket, safe. You understand me? It's because a normal web server cannot carry this kind of file, because some files that is being put in S3 bucket are big files, maybe 2 gig, 3 gig, 4 gig, 5 gig, 10 terabytes. Imagine putting that kind of files in a server. It will not work. Your server will drag, it will crash, it will be heavy. So they put it in S3. They'll not take this link and design maybe a JavaScript or maybe a Python web page. Then after that page, they will now put this link under that thumbnail. So immediately you click, you press it, press play. Are you getting me? It will automatically move you to S3 bucket. You will not know. But the S3 bucket, because the web server, the web app, where the website has a micromedia, that means the capacity to play a video file. They will not be playing the video file. So you'll be thinking that you are watching that video file in that website. Meanwhile, the video file is actually playing from S3. So the same thing you do for, you know, whenever you are in YouTube, you discover sometimes you send a link to somebody on WhatsApp. The YouTube link, somebody can play the YouTube link on WhatsApp and view it.
Yes.
But the YouTube link is actually from a bucket, from a drive. Google call their own Google Drive, which is equivalent of S3 bucket. So this, let's use I'm using 3 instance. Enable Apanation. No. This life cycle, you know, remember this termination. This is a life cycle. This is a life cycle configuration. If I enable this, it means that nobody can delete the server accidentally. You understand me? Most times you always do this when you are installing a critical application in that server, so that somebody cannot mistakenly delete. Or maybe if you are using a Terraform, somebody will not just wake up one morning and just click Terraform destroy. When you understand, and just destroy your files. So let's go to storage. Let's come here and create a security group. Let's use existing security group. Let's use this one. No, let's use default. Let's launch. Okay, let's use this key. I've been using this key since sampling. Have you? Sample. Okay, now our instances, 3 instances is launched. Okay, now let's log into the 3 instances. Let's use our normal Git. Let's use our Git badge. So let me go to my download before the thing goes down.
This one is
Git badge.
GUI.
Git badge now. Remember, we are using CLI. This is our CLI temp we are using. We are not. I don't want us to use what we have been using. Sometimes, you know, we always use connect from the internet. Let's use our Git badge, which is you can use any. You can either use your Git badge, you can use your CMD and everything. But I like using Git badge because it's more of bash scripting. You understand me? Let's say cd into download. You understand me? And then cd into pem. Because that's where I save my file. My file is in PEM folder. It's not in PEM. Yes, my file is in PEM folder. CD PEM. So CD PEM. Now, okay. If I say ls now, you see that my sample PEM file is already inside here. So if you can please follow along with me. Now to log in, to connect to any of the server. Let's say we are connecting to this server.
I hope you are recording it.
Yes, it's recorded.
Okay.
You can say, come here, session. Let's come to this is how you create. Just come here, just click that. You see what I clicked? This is that file. I've already converted. I've already changed the mode. But if I've not changed the mode, what I'm supposed to do is to use this first one, use change mode to convert the file to read. You know, the file may not have that read. I may not have the read permission to use the file. If I use this, meaning that this is my sample PEM file, that's my key pair. I've converted it to read. 400 is read, while 700 is read and write. But with read, you can use of it. With write, 700 you can use. With 766, depends on how you want to configure it. So now I have the read permission. Now let me use it. Since I can read it, meaning I can now use it. Now, bam, I'll log in now. Yes, it's telling me that do I know this file? Yes, so I've logged into my server. Clear. So I will now say sudo sudo update. Yes, to update my server for me. So it has updated my server for me. Now, since my server is updated, what I need to do now is let me install Apache, because the file I want to put, I can decide to create a folder to work on my own folder. You understand me? I can decide to create a folder directory. I can say make directory. Then I can call this directory Apache. Then, you understand me? Then I can, if I say ls, you see Apache folder is inside. Then I say cd Apache. So you see cd Apache, meaning enter my Apache.
Is it not case sensitive?
It's case sensitive, but Apache is case sensitive. Then if I say ls, there's nothing inside. Now inside this my folder, I want to install. I can even create a user. I can create a user. You know, we are using EC2 user now. We can start to create a user and name it, but I don't want to go that far. Let's just install our Apache here. Let's say sudo su. Let me just use sudo su, so that sudo /s, the same thing as sudo su, meaning I'm operating as a root user now. Now let me install install httpd. Yes. Now, what is it saying? Okay, I mean type the httpd. Okay, so it has finished installing httpd now. Now let me start it. Service httpd start. Okay, I've started my server. My server is running now. So if I say clear service httpd status, so it's running, it's active and running. Are you with me? Now there's a folder. If an httpd is running, Apache is running, there's a particular folder where you put the file you want the whole world to see, which is called www, that we are familiar with. Are you getting me? It's called cd var / www / html. This is the folder. If you go to this folder now, ls, nothing is there. Are you getting me? If you go to this folder, there is nothing there. Clear. So this is where we are. Any folder I create here, watch. Oh, remember we have done this before. If I say touch, index, but the folder that this thing always expose is any .html in there, any HTML file. So I'm using index.html. Touch, I've created it. If I say vim index.html, it will give you to tell me that, okay, the folder I want to edit, I should edit using a vim. So I can say welcome to S3 to
Okay.
S3 class server. Good. If I say enter, if I say escape, double column, W means save, Q means quit, exclamation means now. If I do it now, it will be open. If I say ls, the file is there, it's already edited. If I take this URL, this is the URL. If I copy this URL, and put it on a public server, because you will see that file that I wrote now, you see, welcome to S3 server. You understand? Now, let me go to my S3 bucket now. Let me go to my S3 bucket and copy an HTML file into it, into that same folder. You will see something now. You'll be surprised. Okay, I'm just giving you a use case of S3 bucket. One of the use case of S3 bucket. I already have a folder which I've already saved. Is a WordPress application. WordPress application. WordPress is like platform as a service software. Understand? So it's an application I want that is already there, and I have so many of it here. Let me call. I think I saved this one as LMS. Yes, that's what I say. Okay, this one, there's nothing here. Sorry, you see more of these things is because most of our classes we always like to use S3 bucket, and so okay, let's look for, I think, okay, this one. You can see, okay, this one, no, this one is in the video file. This one is a video file. I think is this output. Let's see. Yes, this output. You see this new zip file. Take note of this new zip file. I've already uploaded an HTML. You can get this file, this folder from anywhere. And you get them. You can get it from anywhere. You can get it from. You can even browse. You just say HTML file. You just say WordPress theme. You understand me? You can get one. Or should we create it and put it?
No, let's go on.
Okay, you can get, and so let's go to our server. To pick a file in when you are using Amazon Image AMI, Amazon Image. If you are not using Ubuntu, if you are not using Red Hat or SUSE, to get a file into a server, you use wget. The URL which we copied just now. You understand me? The complete URL of the file. You understand?
Yes.
Wget, the complete URL of the file. If I click enter now, if I have access to that file, if that file is public, it will automatically download it. So it has downloaded it here. ls, you see it here. New zip. So I've moved it from S3 bucket to my server. You understand me? Because it's an application, you can do that. So let's open this file. Let's say unzip new. Wow. ls. Look at the files that are inside. It's called Regina So if I say clear, if I say list, you see we have two files. One is still a zip file. One is not a zip file. Let's remove this zip file. We are through with the zip file B. Let's remove it. ROM, new zip. Then it's asking me, do I want to delete this file? Yes. Delete. So it has deleted the file. So I only have one file there now, which is Regina. Are you getting me? Then if you look at this Regina file, this Regina file is, we have two files here. We have index.html and we have Regina. You understand? If I open this, if I still go to that my link, you will still see that what we still have in that server is still welcome to S3, because this HTML file we have here, what is inside is welcome to stuff. But if you check this, see this Regina, Regina, Regina. If you check this Regina, Regina file, you see that there's already also another HTML file inside, ls. You see, we have a complete application here. We have, you see this index.html here. You see this library, you see this JavaScript file. You understand? We see this CSS file, but we have not installed a JavaScript stuff. So the reason why I will also tell you that you can use Apache and Nginx as a load balancer. I will tell you the meaning of that later, but I don't want to complicate the issue here. Meaning you can use one application, through that application, you can use that application to link another application by creating a port for this application to work with, to communicate. You understand me? You can maybe, every application has their ports they communicate with. Like we know a web communicate with port 80 and port 443. While a database has its own, it depends on the kind of database. JavaScript has its own port. So you can create it, you can use one application, maybe like an NGS. Most times we always use NGX to link these applications together, so that by the time you are talking to Nginx will be the one talking to those applications, and you look as if everything is working together. So Regina file, Regina, open this file here. So you are not moving it anywhere. I'm telling my shell, my batch application, say move this file here. This / means where you are moving it to. But when I put this star, it means, and I said dot means here. If I say dot means back. Are you getting me? Dot
means what?
Back, move back.
Okay.
Previous. But one dot means here. So if I say mv dot, so but now it's not telling me now that there's a folder already there called index.html. The file I'm still bringing in has index.html. One of them have to go. Which one should the new one override the former one? I will say yes. You understand me? If I say yes, normally you are supposed to first delete that first one. Are you getting me? Before you do another one. So if you look at what is going to happen now, if you go back to that, browser now, if I refresh, you see that what is going to see is going to be different. Does this look familiar to you?
So this is how they write websites?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I can send you this link anywhere now. You can access this server, this site. It's going to happen. And if I click anything, I click here, you see? Does it look familiar to you?
But how do you've already written the program for this?
Yes, the program has already been written, has already been compiled. Are you getting me? So we just zipped it and put it in S3 buckets. But what I did, I moved it from S3 bucket. I moved it into my web server after I've installed my Apache. You understand me? Then after I've installed my Apache, I moved it here. Then I now open the file. Are you getting me? And I run it because the application and the web server has the HTTPD which is an Apache, have the capacity to read these files. So this is what is interpreting to me. So this is what you call website. Does it look interesting?
Oh, but I can see the address. The
Because
address does not conform to regular address.
beautiful. That is where your Route 53, which is going to be our next class, will be. So this address you see here, you can see it's still carrying my EC2, US, Bubu, everything.
Amazon, Web, South, and so on.
So this thing is called a DNS, domain name service. So we are going to use AWS domain name service to hide these details, because you can access this server either using the public DNS, or you can also access it using a public IP. If I go to instance that we just connected to now, are you getting me? If I click the public IP of that instance, you will still see that it will also display the same thing. So what I will do, I will attach this into a load balancer, and hide this IP address. So every domain name you see, there's an IP address hidden, because they don't want anybody to hack and attack it. Imagine if you are giving somebody a name, you say, what's your website? My website is 34.29.48.111. People will just be laughing at you. But if I say my website is gemoworld.com.ng, you know, like, it's sweet. You understand me? Or my website is olaiton.com.ng, it's sweet. Or airtel.com.ng, it's sweet. You understand me? So the thing is that all those .com.ng, they are hiding this domain name. Most times it's not directly from the server, it's directly from the load balancer, because they will put this server in a load balancer, or to scale it. Are you getting me? Send this link. So the domain name of the load balancer, they will not attach it to a DNS service, a domain name service, which is Route 53 for AWS. Then the Route 53 you will not go and buy a domain name. You pay for it, maybe $15 or $20. Are you getting me? You edit the name, edit everything for 1 year. For 1 year.
$15 for 1 year?
Yes, $15 to $20 for 1 year. Are you getting me? So AWS will not be your host, because your server is in AWS. You will be paying for the server you are using in AWS. Actually, see the way you see the way
to use two clouds at the same time. Maybe your infrastructure is in one cloud and your server is in another cloud.
I don't understand what you mean by that. See, there's what we call an hybrid cloud.
Okay.
An hybrid cloud is when you use even 3 infrastructure. You can use 2 public cloud and your own data center. Are you getting me? That's an hybrid cloud. That's a multi-cloud. You can put your S3 bucket here, collect from your S3 bucket here, and your application is running in AWS. You understand me? I think there's also a possibility of you linking to server from 2 different public cloud. I don't know how that works anyway. I've not tried that. You understand me? Most times it's safe to make use of one particular infrastructure. Are you getting me? You are making use of that infrastructure. Let that infrastructure be for that particular another application. You understand me? But you can link the S3 bucket and everything. But when you're talking about server, I always recommend you make use of a particular infrastructure. You understand me? That's what you do, because the load balancer is the main thing, and the load balancer must have access, must be able to comfortably work with your servers, because your servers are going to be attached to your load balancer, and your load balancer will be sent to your DNS. From your DNS, are you getting me? A load balancer DNS is almost like this. It looks similar to this DNS. You understand me? That's how a load balancer URL look like. You now take this and you now hide it in a DNS. Then from a DNS, you can say Eureka. You see, it's sweet now. Is it not sweet? So I'm going to send you this file.
What application do you use to write this?
Like this particular one, I use you can use WordPress to do it. It's easy to use WordPress to do it.
WordPress?
And WordPress, yes. WordPress is a app developer. It's easy because it's just pick, plug. You don't need to write code. You just drag this. The code is written by the is kept from you. You just use your GUI, drag. You can also use CSS
HTML,
and PHP to write this,
PHP.
PHP, CSS, and HTML to write.
So WordPress is the simplest one.
And WordPress is simple, yes, but it's not that WordPress is leads you. It's not. There's not. You can also use WordPress to do some complicated sites. You understand me? Just that there are some APIs in WordPress that you cannot, that have a limitation, and you have to buy from A, buy from B, buy from C to put in your WordPress, so that your WordPress can have that function that you want your application to have. You understand?
Okay.
Like,
so WordPress is not totally free.
It's not free. There are some things you need to buy. Like even the WordPress, if you have to subscribe to it, you have to pay. Then some of the APIs you have to pay. For example, if you want to put a gateway, a payment gateway, you have to pay for the payment gateway. Some of them are free. Some of them you pay. For a secure one, you have to pay. For SSL, you have to pay. You have to pay all those things. Although SSL, you still pay, even if you are using your own stuff. You have to. You understand? So these are the things. I think this is one of the application of S3 bucket.